Aditya Thackeray can symbolize many things. Firstly, a young politician with new ideas, ideas that traditional politicians have often avoided dealing with. When I heard him speak at length for the first time at TNI's Think Edu conclave in Chennai, I was pleasantly surprised to see him talk passionately about climate change, about protecting the ecology to protect ourselves and the planet Earth. But that is only a part of who he is. He also bears the most famous name or surname in the city and the state of contemporary times. He is the son of the first CM from the Thackeray family and the first from the family to contest elections. When we think of Thackeray, we think of a tough and even controversial image. But there is also a non-political part of the legacy that doesn't get much talked about. I discovered that Aditya, among other things, also dabbles in poetry. His grandfather used to be a cartoonist. His father used to be into photography. Does he get time nowadays? A sensitive artistic streak running in a political family is quite rare. Here, of course, he is with us, amidst us, to share his thoughts on what he represents and what is that he promises to bring about as he contests for the state and what he wants to see in Mumbai and Maharashtra in this super-heated political contest that is coming in a month or two. So, Aditya, you are articulate and you are a young face of Maharashtra, Shiv Sena UBT as we call it. You are the first person from the Thackeray family to contest elections, even before you became MLA and later minister in the cabinet of your own father. How do you see this evolution of Shiv Sena from street fighting, rabble-rousing political party to the articulate voice of the party looking back?
I think a very interesting question, because to be honest, we never look at the metamorphosis that happens. And some people say that things have changed. Some people say that things have not changed. Some people say that perceptions have been, broken. I think what is very crucial is what I've learned from my grandfather and my father both, is for us to be relevant to the time and place that you are always in. For a political party, I think there are two aspects that we need to balance. One is what your electorate or your people need, and the other is what your electorate or your people want. I think a political party has to be the bridge between the two and always has to be relevant to the times we are in. You cannot be stuck to something. Of course, your core ideals, your core raison d'etre has to be there. Your reason to be has to be there. But somewhere I compare ourselves to what the New Labour in Britain in 1997 was, and probably is today. You have your core ideals, but you're also voicing out what is required today. And I think that is what we are doing as of now.
As you see, we have seen Balasaheb Thackeray was connected to the old Shiv Sena guard, and people used to love and like his style of politics. As then Uddhav Thackeray era come, and many his contemporary like his different style of politics. And now the young generation, I have spoken and I have seen also many millennium kids or particularly young chaps, get attracted to you and your policies, your visionary, particularly in the environment and other things. How Thackeray gets, immediately evolves themselves and get connected to the public?
I don't think there's anything which is planned. And like I said, if I have to draw something from my grandfather, I remember in 2011, we had the first anniversary of Shiv Sena. And he was around, I think, 83, 84 back then. And he was speaking to us. We were all 21-year-old, 22-year-old kids. And he was speaking of WikiLeaks, social media, social media world and, whatever's evolving. I think that is something to be learned from him, that a man of his age and stature back then, to have seen politics over how many ever decades he saw, and to speak to us in a language that we connect with and we find relevant. I think that is very important, and that's why he's always been relevant. So, like I said, there is nothing planned. We have to voice what is needed in the society. We're just reflecting that.
But if you see yourself also evolve, if you remember, that was
No,
a
I will never be able to become even half of what my grandfather was, or my father is, because I think for each generation, our topics, our priorities have to keep evolving. And two, if I just start copying my grandfather, I would have become a mimicry artist. I can't. There are few leaders who are stuck in that image, who try to look like him, who try to speak like him. I can't do that. My challenge is at least to take the party ahead twice as much as he could, and that's what he had set a goal for me back then, probably.
But Aditya, there is this election is not just about who will get the majority vote to rule, which coalition will get the majority to rule Maharashtra. It is also a very personal contest for you, because your party, as it was founded, as it was, have been broken. So it is as much a contest for your own identity of what Shiv Sena actually is, how much, whether you are the real legacy holder of the Thackeray brand. No. So how do you think that is panning out?
No, I don't look at it necessarily as that. Basically, if you look at the general norm of things, if a thief comes into your house and steals something, he doesn't become the owner of it. That's what has happened. The Election Commission and the BJP facilitated robbery. And just because someone has robbed something, the robber doesn't become the owner. Having said that, for me, it is not a personal contest at all. It's not about where we will stand, how many seats we'll gain, whether we'll be in government or not. I think what this election is about Maharashtra's pride. This is about Maharashtra's self-confidence. This is about the stature of Maharashtra. And I say this because things could have been different. Had the MVA remained in power, things could have been different in terms of how Mumbai has been developing, or how Pune could have moved ahead, or how our farmers were supported, or how women could be safe, or how safe schools would have been initiated in Maharashtra. That is one. But if you look at every aspect of Maharashtra today, in the past 2 years, with what the thieves did, with what the Gaddars did, they had the backing of the BJP. Till 2024, June 4th, they had the backing of a BJP with 303 seats. They had every possible backing in this country of all institutions, everything, to do what they did. They could have got industries to our state. They could have increased the amount of jobs in our state. They could have increased our GDP. They could have supported our farmers. They could have supported women who are now being doled out 1,500 rupees. They could have done all of this in the past 2 years, but instead, they chose to break our party. They chose to break the Pawar family. They chose to break the NCP. They chose to break many other parties. They chose to break our institutions. They chose to bankrupt the BMC. And if you see today, Maharashtra is in a terrible condition. This is about the idea of India and the idea of Maharashtra. A simple question I asked yesterday, and the reason we're fighting against the BJP is precisely this. The new Indian Express, the front page shows Ashwin walked out to bat when India was struggling at 144 for 6. Right? Who is this test match against? Bangladesh. Now the simple question I have asked the BJP is whether Hindus in Bangladesh and minorities in Bangladesh have faced atrocities in the past 2 months or not. Because from social media and from certain media channels and from the BJP ecosystem, we have constantly seen this hammering saying Hindus in Bangladesh are facing atrocities, because of which they tried to have riots in Maharashtra, because of which they tried to beat up a few people in Maharashtra, because of which they tried to create political and religious instability in Maharashtra. Now, if at all Hindus faced atrocities in Bangladesh in the past 2 months, why is the BCCI, which is run by the BJP, playing cricket and supporting Bangladesh cricket? Had the Congress done this, the BJP would have been out on the streets, jumping here and there, protesting, burning things, breaking things. But only because it is BJP run, there is hypocrisy. This hypocrisy is what we are against. There has to be some sense. I mean, if someone's facing atrocities in Bangladesh, in your neighborhood country, why are you beating up people in our own country? Why are you dividing Hindus and Muslims in my state over something that's happening in the neighborhood, and you're playing cricket with that country but beating up people in my state? So this is about the idea of India, however utopian it may sound. We have to somewhere bring back sense and sensibility in government. We have to bring back the pride of Maharashtra and for every other state. And this is why we're fighting.
But if you see, the latest economic survey had come, and there the GDP has declined, and per person per capita income is also not growing compared to Gujarat.
Compared to the 50 MLAs who ran away,
yeah.
40 MLAs who ran away.
So that we can compare.
They have spiked up.
And you also said the traitor governments or Gaddar government. But if you see, this government has almost now completed their tenure.
Yes.
And the Supreme Court has not given the verdict also. Now the election is around the corner. So why, if the government has completed, its tenure and there is no verdict by Supreme Court, so why you continue on your tweets on social media? You always use that word,
I mean, that is something we have to say in our country, that we believe in the justice system. And we surely believe that in the next 30, 40 years, we will get justice. We're firm on that belief. So, yeah, whenever 2047, when we'll get justice. But look, I mean, again, this is something that we've been voicing. Which is shocking. With all due respect to the Supreme Court, we firmly believe that justice delayed is justice denied. Today, Maharashtra, which is one of the most important states in our country, the second largest state in terms of population and Lok Sabha representation, the most industrious state along with Tamil Nadu, along with Karnataka and a couple of more, we have a government that is unconstitutional, illegal, and we also have a case which is about a theft of a political party. And if we don't have priority and time for a case as important as this, which is to do with the Constitution of India, with the basic fundamental of our democracy, then what are we doing? And again, probably the international justice system is also looking at us with high hopes that someday soon, before the election, there will be justice. Because when you look at the International Court of Justice, when you look at other judicial systems around the world, I think this case is also a huge precedent for those countries looking at democracy and looking at India as a democracy. So I'm sure the ICJ and other courts also looking at us and hoping that we will get justice.
So how do you read the Prime Minister visit during Ganesh Festival to Chief Justice of India, Chandrachud? Do you see any correlation?
I mean, a lot of people have read into it. I've stopped reading into it because it's getting delayed any which ways.
I'll bring you back to the answer you were giving while you were showing the new Indian Express front page. The moment I heard your reply, I immediately told myself, well, this is Balasaheb Thackeray's grandson speaking. So he would single-handedly stop, raise his voice against India playing with Pakistan where situations were not conducive. He would say that even Pakistani singers could not perform here. But do you think somewhere that idea of aggressive politics and aggressive diplomacy needs a little nuancing?
No, I think what we're waiting for is basically a reply from the MEA whether atrocities happened or not. Then we can decide the future course of action. But if the MEA is not willing to speak and is depending on an ecosystem which is to do with social media, what are we supposed to do? And if we have to act and protest when there is a so-called hindutva government in the center and a so-called nationalist government in the center, then what is the nationalism and what is the hindutva? I mean, if you remember, 5 years ago, CA NRC was being brought into the country precisely because minorities in this country are facing atrocities. For the past 2 months, you've had multiple instances on the basis of minorities and Hindus being attacked in this country. And today, when you ask the MEA whether, atrocities happened or not, the NSA goes and cares to answer the Russian president, but not Indian citizens. If we can intervene in Ukraine and stop the war, why not in Manipur? Why not in Bangladesh?
Yeah, that is a point.
And that is what I've asked the BJP. I said, look, I'm not saying play or don't play. I'm not saying stop the cricket or not stop the cricket. That is a call India can make when we get to know the truth from the MEA, which is whether Hindus in Bangladesh face atrocities or not.
But if you see, Santwana just pointed out your aggression, and you are tweeting also that Bangladesh and everything. Recently, I saw that clipping and the reporting also. You went Malvan, where the Chhatrapati Shivaji statue, got collapsed because of unfortunate some reasons. And there,
I
your
think you're
body
going to give me
language.
this angry young man image out there.
So is there any angry young man coming from the
Not at all.
articulate?
Not at all. You could have seen, actually, we went very peacefully. And what happened is, of course, very hurtful to the sentiments of Maharashtra and to everyone across India. The statue of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the way it was placed there. Firstly, if you see the statue, the proportions are not right. The anatomy is not right. He didn't even look like Chhatrapati, firstly. And it was put in a hurried manner only because the Prime Minister wanted to go there on 4th of December and do it. Okay, done. At least make it properly. If the Statue of Liberty can stand for 138 years and bear all the storms and cyclones and ice and snow on a similar island, why not Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's statue? If the Statue of Unity can stand for the past whatever years, 5-6 years in Gujarat, why not in Maharashtra? Why is this hatred towards Maharashtra from the BJP? That is all we're saying.
Before you, Milind Devara was here, and he spoke about
From which
lot of-
party exactly?
Now, presently he belongs to your,
And the next 4 months?
that he has to answer. He claim and take the credit whatever the projects and development are taking, like Coastal Road and then Nava Seva and the Atal Setu, everything. He was claiming that under the leadership of Eknath Shinde, they are able to complete, and Mumbai is evolving and turning to be one of the best city. So how do you counter his,
I don't wish to counter such people. People who change statements in 4 months and change parties, despite family legacies. I don't wish to counter these people.
Okay.
Let them be in their delusion.
But Aditya, there has been, you were talking about hindutva issue, whether BJP is talking about it, but actually walking the talk on that concept of political Hinduism. But that is exactly on the ground on which your party, at least that is what is being said, has got divided. That you have moved away from hardline Hindutva and you have softened your stand and you made alliance with the Congress. So how do you actually see that argument? And when you go to the election, especially to reclaim your territory in a way, how do you explain it to your voters, electorate?
I think our electorate knows what is what, and thankfully, because of the media in Maharashtra, in other states, a lot of tags are given like Godi and all. Thankfully, here, a lot of our media has remained neutral and remained transparent, and full credit to them, along with that social media. And I think in terms of trustworthiness, if you take a poll in Maharashtra, I'll say 99.99%, barring the Gaddars, or probably even the Gaddars will say in terms of trustworthiness, no one comes close to Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray as a person. So obviously that is one. In terms of Hindutva, there were two major points that Mr. Minde had raised in terms of why he left us. One was, we had Mr. Nawab Malik, who is a partner of Dawood Ibrahim, sitting next to us. Where is he sitting now? The second point was, we had a friend of Iqbal Mirchi, Mr. Praful Patel, with us. Where is he now? They're sitting with the same person that they accused of being with us and left our party for. I think everyone knows this hypocrisy. Everyone knows the power hungriness of the illegal chief minister. Everyone knows the helplessness, otherwise they could have gone to jail, of the illegal CM and the 40 people that he went with. So I think everyone knows about this. That is why this term Pannas Khoke Ekdam Okay has become so popular that you wake up someone saying Pannas Khoke and say Ekdam Okay. It's now popular folklore in Maharashtra.
Aditya, but tell me something, that it is being said, and after the Lok Sabha election, it was analyzed also, that the minorities are voting for Shiv Sena, your faction of Shiv Sena. How was that possible? How do you explain that?
it's happened
Is it? Do you see as some critics will say that represents a dilution of your original position.
I think if you see from my grandfather's time also, then in my father's tenure as party president all through right now, all of these years, we're probably the only political party in India that does not give tickets as per caste. We give as per work, and we respect everyone. Two, we're probably also that party that does not have specific cells for minorities or whatever. Whoever is from whichever religion, caste, creed, region has a mainstream official post in our party. We don't create silos within our party. In terms of the minority vote, be it Muslims, be it Buddhists, be it Christians, be it Parsis, be it Sikhs, I think, be it Jains also, all of them have voted for us as citizens of this state and citizens of this country to save democracy and save the constitution, as much as Hindus have. Everyone has voted looking beyond these, glasses of perception. I think what is very important to see is, again, the minority vote that you're talking of has always been with us. It only got highlighted during this campaign. But if you see Mumbai's vote share, always, Sena has had this traditional vote bank, even outside. So we've never differentiated between, okay, you are this, you are that, you will vote for me, you will not vote for me. My duty as a politician or as someone from a political party is to represent anyone who is facing injustice and who needs justice. I have to serve everyone. Yes, when you speak of hindutva, then my hindutva is very, very different from BJP's. My hindutva, of course, wants a Ram temple, but does not want a Ram temple that is inaugurated, which is half complete and leaking now, thanks to the BJP. My hindutva is not creating corridors across the country, which is breaking old temples, removing pujaris and putting RSS people or people from Gujarat and contractors from Gujarat into Uttar Pradesh or Tamil Nadu or Maharashtra. My hindutva doesn't tell you what to eat or not to eat, and my hindutva will not take electoral bonds from a beef exporter on one side and beat up another person saying you are carrying beef on another side. My hindutva does not permit me to do that.
But if you see, Uddhav Thackeray, and you also said, तोंडात राम आणि हाताला काम,
हृदयात राम आणि हाताला काम.
हृदयात राम आणि हाताला काम. So it is like redefining the Hindutva. And do you see, you must be read your, great grandfather Prabodhankar Thackeray. He was one of the great social reformer in Maharashtra. His work is also, eliminary. Have you read his work, and how do you see his work in today's context?
So, again, this is very interesting because like you just compared me to my grandfather. My father often gets compared to his grandfather for the reformative views. My father, of course, has heard first-hand stories from his grandfather about his life and times. I have heard about my great-grandfather from my grandfather, from my father, and of course from the autobiography, Maji Jeevan Gatha. So of course I've heard it in my grandfather's presence also very many times. I've heard the nuances of it and stories behind it, all of that. But what is very important is the formation of Shiv Sena happened in 1966 precisely because Hatala Kam. Jobs for the locals, jobs for Bhumiputras, and jobs. That is what we are fighting for. Yes, religion is at our core. Our social values are at our core. Bhumiputras, be it in whatever state, will be at the core of our policy. But finally, what do you live for? For a job, for employment. How do you sustain your family? That is what the crux of it all is.
But, you also alleging that many big mega project has been taken away from Maharashtra and gone our neighboring Gujarat state.
Yesterday one has gone.
Yeah.
And I think if, God forbid, if this government repeats, the Mantralaya will also be taken to Surat or Ahmedabad. They take orders any which ways from there.
But as a young and articulate politician, and there are, if you believe in surveys, so there are projection of the Mahavikas Agadi. So how do you, visualize your party and your alliance for the Maharashtra? Because currently there are a lot of unemployment is growing up, even though there is a Ladli Baina scheme is there, but unemployment, rural distress is one of the major factors we have seen in the Lok Sabha. So what things we are offering to the people so that can attract to them, to the alliance and the particularly UBT?
See, Ladli Behna is one scheme they've brought just on the verge of elections, right? People who spoke about 15 lakh rupees in your bank account are now giving you 1500 rupees. Where did those zeros go? And if the government gets repeated, they'll come down to 150 rupees. We will increase that. But along with that, we want Surakshit Behna also. We had passed the Shakti bill in 2021. That has been pending with the Honorable President of India for the past 4 years. What about that? You have people like Vaman Matre, who asked a journalist, when she asked him about this case, he asked her, why are you reporting as if you have been raped? Has that man been arrested? No, but the journalist faces a criminal charge now. What kind of law and order are we looking at in Maharashtra? The terrible situation, does Maharashtra have a home minister or not? Is the basic question today. The home minister is busy looking into people's homes and breaking political parties and families for his own ego, but not actually looking after the law and order situation in Maharashtra. And along with that, if you look at the job situation, public sector jobs, if you look at that, MPSC, you have to struggle for it. Something like a Tehsildar exam, you're struggling for it. If you look at the private sector where most people go, Vedanta, Foxconn, Airbus, Tata, Bulk Truck Park, Medical Device Park, the semiconductor park that went just day before yesterday, solar energy equipment park, everything is going to Gujarat. I have nothing personal against Gujarat. See, I am a firm believer that wherever investment wants to go in our country, they should be allowed to go without any politician trying to influence it. Because finally, investments and private investors do their own surveys, their own research, they have their consultants and they go to the best place suited for them, wherever across the country. Whoever wants to go to Jammu and Kashmir, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, wherever they want to go, 100%. But why are you forcing industries from my state and jobs from my state to go to another state, which is only and only favored by you? What about the bullet train? What use is the bullet train to us? You're taking the diamond business from BKC to Surat. The bullet train I read today will run at 250 kilometers per hour.
By the way, the diamond business are
Coming back, right? Even semiconductor, Vedanta Foxconn has declared that we can't do business in Dholera. Who has lost out? India has lost out on this.
So, but your party has controlled the civic body in Bombay for very long. Bombay infrastructure is an ongoing process, but we can't say it is in best of situation.
The worst situation right now.
Yeah. So every time there is a rain, we know that we know that what photograph from Bombay will emerge. Okay, the city will be underwater, and it's not just that. Parts of the city, as I was coming in and I was looking through the city, there are parts of the city which actually looks as if it is decaying. Okay, and there are parts of the city which looks like it is in a heritage zone. The parts of the city which looks like matchstick, modernity. So there doesn't seem to be a holistic growth and a plan for Mumbai to develop, and almost it is as if the city, which was everybody's dream city at one point, has lost an image. It is all these little fractured mosaics which make up Mumbai now. In that context, as a young politician and somebody who's going to election, who believes in electoral politics and who controls the civic body for many years now, what is your plan for Mumbai?
Actually, you've read my mind and said whatever I wanted to say. Let me start off with the flood situation first. Let me start off with the basic history of BMC. We've run BMC for the past 25 years, from 1997 to almost February 2022. Since 2022, Mumbai does not have a mayor who is elected. Mumbai does not have corporators who are elected. Mumbai is being run by the UD department from the Chief Minister's office through an administrator. In 1997, when we had started ruling the BMC or running the BMC and serving Mumbai through the BMC was in a 600 crore deficit. By 2022, without increasing taxes, without adding hidden taxes or without hidden tolls, we raised the fixed deposits of BMC from negative 600 to a positive of 92,000 crores. And every year, this 92,000 crores surplus as fixed deposit would be reflected in our budget, with every penny being linked to either a project or a pension scheme or some salary or something to do with that. But every penny was reflected. Now, going further, had elections happened in time, by now we would have had a mayor, we would have had corporators, and it would be a body which was accountable to people and answerable to people. Today, what has happened is this whole BJP and Minde group has taken back the BMC from 92,000 crores surplus to 2 lakh crores of committed liabilities. The situation is such that probably from the next month, the BMC won't have money to pay the salaries of its own staffers. Forget the pensions, nothing. In every project that Mr. Shinde has touched, as Urban Development Minister or the Legal Chief Minister, there is an escalation. Every project that comes in front of him, there is a delay and there is escalation. The coastal road that was southbound, that was fully planned by the BMC and us. The BJP had nothing to do with it, as much as Mr. Fadnavis loves to claim, apart from 3 years delay in the central government, was supposed to be completed by December 2023. It is still not finished. The Chief Minister gloats in glory when he's inaugurating half a lane and half a kilometer. This was a project that was supposed to be finished with the cycle track and the walking pathway and the 96 hectares of open green space by December 2023. The MTHL, which is now rebranded as the Atal Setu by the BJP, was supposed to be completed by October 2023, last year, which was inaugurated after 6 times of me tweeting to the Prime Minister saying, please give time, sir. It's awaiting your time for inaugurations in January. The Worli-Shivdi connector from 2021, when we started off work, till June 2022, was completed almost as 48%. The last update I heard from the DCM was now 57%. Imagine 2 years, they've only completed 9%. Mumbai is run by almost 16 civic authorities, which include the BMC, MMRDA, then you have MHADA, SRA, Railways, Airports Authority of India. Now you have Adani coming in as a bigger landlord of Mumbai. All of these authorities together can create a mess, and which is why the mosaic happens, and which is why in the last month of our governance back then in 2022, and this is probably first on agenda when we come back to power very soon, hopefully, is to create a single authority as the BMC, which is accountable and powerful for Mumbai to elect and run Mumbai no matter where the area is. The MMRD technically shouldn't have a word in Mumbai. The MHADA shouldn't be a town planning authority. Its job is to construct homes. SRA shouldn't be a town planning authority. Dharavi redevelopment plan shouldn't be a town planning authority. The issue is with so many town planning authorities, the railways builds hoardings whenever they want to, deconstructs bridges whenever they want to, and creates a traffic mess. And people who deal with it is us Mumbaikars. I'll give you a simple example. The BEST is an organization that runs transport and electricity for Mumbai, the cheapest transport and cheapest electricity. When we were in government, our base of BST was 3,337 buses. We were expanding it to 10,000 electric buses by 2027 and 900 double-decker electric buses by 2027. Today, the buses have gone down to 2,000. People are standing in longer lines. For what? Look at the schools of Mumbai. Probably BMC is the only institution in India where our duties of primary education, we've gone into secondary education also, and we were probably the first municipal corporation in India to have IB schools, ICSE schools, IGCSE schools, CBSE schools, along with SSE schools. We have almost 3.5 lakh kids studying in 9 languages: English, semi-English, Marathi, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Urdu, Gujarati, and a couple of more. We were the first institute in India to go digital. Obviously, we couldn't brand it as well as the government of Delhi, and they've done a phenomenal job too. But the problem is, all of these schools are now shutting down because teacher training is shut. Schools are not getting the support from the government that is supposed to get because their priorities are different. The current government's priorities are road scams. You've had 2 road scams back to back, both of which I've exposed. Thankfully, the media supported me. 6,000 crores last year, 6,000 crores this year, committed to roads and contractors. Not a single road completed. All dug up across Mumbai, but not a single road completed. And this is where my heart breaks, and this is why I'm fighting politically. It's not for my job or for my post or my glory and glamour. It's for my city and for my state. And this is where my heart breaks, and this is what I want to do for my state and city. I can go on for another hour like this, sorry.
But tell me something. If you win and MVA is back in power, will we see Uddhav Thackeray as a CM face?
Sudhirji, kya manta? He's the one who tweets inside information, so he'll probably know more than me.
No, but seriously.
Look, I'll tell you.
I'll
tell you very honestly, because this is again a thing that has been going on in the media. If you ask me as someone from Maharashtra or a Mumbaikar, and if you ask me as someone who's worked in his cabinet, yes, his work as the chief minister has been exceptionally accountable, transparent, and I think accepted widely by Mumbaikars and Maharashtra, by farmers, by women, as someone who we see as a part of our family. and the head of a family. That image is still there, and I think that is the level of trust. I've gone to many constituencies across Maharashtra where other parties were also fighting, our allies were fighting, and they've said we are voting for Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray. Having said that, knowing my father, he's never the one who's going to be asking for such deals or pulling such seats. What we are fighting for is, again, the glory of the state. And that is why we've told the Congress and the NCP and all our allies, saying, whoever is your face, no problem, let's pitch that. Not a problem. Congress wants a face, Congress has a face, pitch it. NCP has a face, pitch it. We don't want the current regime of the BJP and the Minde who are looting our state to be back in power. That is our only intent.
Aditya, initially, you were very good, writer and the poet. So you're some.
I'm the youngest former minister, former poet, former photographer, and a former cricketer.
So,
A lot of formers.
so do you get time to write, pen down something
No.
nowadays?
Now I'm so embarrassed of that time. Even if I have time, I'll avoid the pen.
No, now he's working for Umid politically.
Yes, that's true.
Earlier he was working for Umid lyrically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Now it's all prose, not poetry.
But tell me something. Are you driven by ideology or you are driven by pragmatism in politics?
I think pragmatism is my ideology. Finally, what do people look at political parties for? For solutions. Now, when you go to a tribal village where for the past 75 years you've had no electricity or no road, and I've gone to a couple of places when I was a minister, before that and even after that, where because I was visiting, the state machinery has woken up and is creating a temporary road and trying to get water and things like that. What ideology matters to them? Whether you're left, you're right, you're hindutva, you're secular, you're this, you're that. Finally, what they want is basically food, water, and electricity, and an opportunity to earn. I think that is very important. Where farmers are committing suicide today, it doesn't matter to them whether one government is here or there or who's the chief minister or not. What matters to them is someone who goes to them and says, look, we are standing with you. Whatever the tough times, we'll brave it together. I think that is very important. So I think solution is the ideology.
Okay, just last question, then we will throw for the audience for a couple of questions. I must compliment, not as a journalist, but as a common man, for your environmental vision. And I think there are very few politicians who has got real interest in environment, and they have got a vision. Generally, environment minister has to be always against the environment, and that your case was completely different. But why don't you think and ponder over that thing? Why don't we have such kind of leaders? We lack such kind of leaders in large number. Why we are, as a society, we have failed to create such kind of leaders,
No, I think, look, we're looking at, again, questions very much in silos, right? Whenever I look at the agrarian distress today, yes, we have to give compensation, we have to help our farmers, we have to support them. But what is the crux of the problem? It is climate change. You have a drought from something like January to almost July.
You visited many
Yes,
international
and then
conferences.
you have flash floods or cloud bursts, which are again destroying the crops. This is climate change. I have the regions like North Maharashtra, Marathwada, Vidarbha, even Jawar Mokhada, which faced a terrible drought from 2011 to almost 2017, started facing floods from 2017 to almost 2021, and now they're facing both in the same year. This is climate change. We have to work on climate resilient agriculture, be it for seeds, be it for the ways of agriculture, shifting of seasons, harvesting crops, all of that. I visited Sayadri Agro Company, which is in Nashik. They're working on that. Many other companies are working like that. Likewise, if you look at cities also, most cities today are facing either droughts or flash floods, be it Chennai, be it Mumbai, be it any other city. As a child, back then, 20 years ago, I remember Mumbai's maximum temperature used to be 35, 36 degrees. And that used to be the highest. And that's the time your parents tell you, don't go out to play right now. It's too hot. It's 36 degrees. When we were campaigning in Mumbai, in Mulund, in the month of May, it was 42.5 degrees. Never have seen this temperature. If you look at most of our states today, it's probably the first time in the past 3-4 years that we've started giving heat wave holidays. Imagine the amount of economic loss, productivity loss that we are having because of these holidays. Because of heat strokes, because of sunstrokes, because of bad health due to a sudden change in weather. And this is what I'm saying. Look at India, where we are situated today in terms of population-wise, in terms of our growth-wise, in terms of our economy-wise. The amount of productivity loss, efficiency loss that we will face because of climate change is huge. If you remember the incident of Taliye village, they had to be resettled somewhere else, right? Because of a hillslide. Joshimath is one example, though that is different. Even in our own state, in Joshimath, of course, when you start resettling villages from one place to another, the kind of social distress that it will create is huge. The problem as India that we will face for climate change is huge, and that is why we need to start thinking of this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, now we'll open it to audience questions. Please identify yourself before you ask your question, and please be precise.
Pointed questions,
Yeah.
and Aditya is giving
I think
pointed
no
answers.
hands up, we've satisfied everyone.
Please raise your hands. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello everyone. My name is Farali Tamane and I'm from KC College. My question to you is...
KC Law or just KC?
No, KC Masters in Communication and Journalism.
Okay, I was in KC Law, that's why.
So my question to you is, you often speak about teaching children about good touch and bad touch in schools, but then we also encountered and witnessed the Badlapur school case, and it was horrific. So how do you look at this, and how do you look at making the world is a bigger space, but then the country or the city more safer space for us? Like
See,
the women?
if you look at women's safety issue, right? It is two things, women respect and women's safety. And I've believed always that women, men, children, wherever, any city or any place where children are safe, irrespective of their gender, everyone's safe. In terms of road safety, in terms of civic safety. Now, women's safety is not just a law and order issue. Yes, in terms of law and order, arresting the culprit, giving adequate justice or bringing the culprit to justice is very, very important. But along with that, I also think that women's safety is a very civic issue also. How do you plan your streets? Are pavements where generally all of us walk visible from the roads? Do you have railings there which are not needed and are footpaths accessible? Is that lane illuminated well? Wherever the bus stop is or where your office is, what is the distance from that? Is that route populated or not? I think these are some of the issues that we all need to study and survey in terms of our municipal corporations, in terms of our urban department, urban development department, all of it. There was a very interesting book I read by this author called Caroline Perez. It's called Invisible Women. I think most of us should read this because when I was working on the climate budget of Mumbai and looking at Mumbai's perspective, all of Mumbai, Pune, Kolhapur, Nagpur, Nashik, most of the cities that have a municipal corporation, how do you put a lens of climate budget? There is also a thing called gender budget. And how do you start looking at things through a gendered perspective? I think that is also very important. So as much as we, want to and we should teach good touch, bad touch in schools, self-defense also, unfortunately, we have to teach as much as we hate to, say that we have to support women for self-defense. I think it is a necessity now. But along with that, law and order, patrolling, but civic issues also in terms of illumination of streets. Do you have enough CCTVs? Is that street visible from another road? I think that is also very important.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Harish Das from Goregaon, Mumbai. Thanks to NIE for giving us the opportunity to have an interaction with people like you. I respect the Thackeray family and I congratulate you for a wonderful budding politician. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to ask you, as the respected Thackeray family, I have seen your party from the formative stage in 1966 when Bala Saheb formed the party. Over the 3 generations, I feel the party has compromised a lot. I don't know in which way to tell you, but if you have understood, diluted a lot, as
In which
Madam had
sense?
also said. And you raised 2 points about the Bangladesh issue, as also one more point which you spoke about this thing about the Bangladesh and one more topic. I'll come to that. You talked about the Bangladesh issue, why MEA is not doing anything. But may I, with due respect, ask you, why does a political party speak about Indian politics in the other countries? How will you answer that if you're talking about MEA raising an issue? Why not the party restrain itself from talking about Indian
Not really, sir.
politics
When-
abroad,
when
though
pre-
it doesn't
Yeah.
connect.
No, 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 no. Let me answer that. Because when the precedent is set by the Prime Minister himself, who goes and says abroad that nothing happened in India for the past 75 years, I think in an open world, there is no some sacred thing that you can't speak about the truth. When
We
the
are
Prime
not
Minister
arguing-
himself has
we are
spoken
not
so many
arguing
times.
about that.
Yeah.
The head of the state represents the Indian masses.
Not
if you
really.
know that.
He represents the parliament and the majority party in the parliament. The head of
Whatever
the state
it
is the president.
The second thing which I asked your previous speakers also in the DAS, how will you tackle the hawker menace or the traffic menace? We can't walk on the roads, we can't walk on the footpath. How are you talking about the development? How will you minimize the pedestrian woes, the illegal constructions?
I'll give that answer. It's a very interesting answer. And this is what I've been personally following up also. If you see my assembly speeches in the past 2 years and before that also, what is needed in terms of the traffic menace, Mumbai's traffic has degraded like never before. You know, there was a time when we would go around the world, around the country and say that there's no traffic sense like Mumbai's traffic sense. No one breaks the law. There's hardly any cases that are of wrong side driving or jumping signals. Today, precisely because we don't have manpower, most of the police, if you see, the traffic police says we don't have manpower, which is unfortunate. Everything has been shifted onto CCTVs and fines and digital space, which is great. But along with that, unless and until you have physical manpower on the ground, which I intend to do with traffic cops on ground, catching and penalizing people on the spot for wrong side driving, for signal jumping, you cannot manage that. And in terms of hawkers, yes, in terms of the hawker menace,
Yeah.
of course, what is very important today is the Supreme Court has mandated us to create hawker zones. Unfortunately, what has happened is neither the BMC nor any other agency across our state has been able to come to a single pinpointed area where the ALMs or the resident welfare associations have been able to come to a point saying, okay, this is a hawker zone and this is a hawker free zone. That is always going to be a debate, and unless and until both sides, we as citizens and we as authorities, come to a common point, that is something that is not going to be solved. This is an honest, candid answer I'm giving you.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And I can hear you without a mic. No, I mean, whatever you feel comfortable, I'm just joking.
Is India in a position to bank on its demographic dividend? And do young, bright people like you who are in politics come together and talk about it on national level?
Firstly, I think there is this whole talk of young politicians, which I agree with. But I think we always have to be a mix of young and old. Young and basically the wise. What you can say is the ones who are always excited and the other ones who are wise. So Hosh and Josh has to be there. So I will not say that only us as young politicians should talk. I think all of us as a country, we need to go beyond politics and speak about the job situation today. The job situation is really bad. The demographic dividend is here for us to make use of. By natural order, we will become a stronger economy. We have an increasing middle class which is rising very fast. Aspirations are rising very fast. And whenever even in the climate space, when we speak about a car-free world, I say, look, it's not possible for at least India over the next 10 years because the aspiration is to own a car. If not drive a car, at least own a car, own a bike, all of that. So I think what we need to start thinking over is what is practical for our economy and what we can grow. I think that is very important. We need to start moving beyond the concepts of the left and the right in terms of thinking for our economy and look at what our country needs. And the first thing is job situation.
Last question now, ma'am will ask.
Yeah, hi, this is Devina Mehra from First Global. I was really happy to hear invisible women being talked about because the world is designed for men and women have to accommodate themselves. And there's actually a very good book which you may have read by TIS researchers called Why Loiter, which is about that public spaces don't belong to women. And suppose a woman is assaulted, she always has to say that I was here because I was going here for work or to do this or do that. Really, women are safe when they can just hang around in public without any agenda, just as men hang out at street corners. But my question really had to do with the climate change bit. You spoke about the agri impact and all that, but Mumbai, given its geography and the reclaimed land, etc., is particularly vulnerable to the sea level rising. So what do the studies show and what is the time frame which you have in mind about what can happen to Mumbai and how to save Mumbai?
Yes, I think that is one thing I missed out in the BMC answer also. Because about the flooding of Mumbai, if you ask any journalist here who's reported for the past 15, 20 years, they will say the first point you reach in Mumbai whenever there's flooding is either Milan Subway or Hindutva and Gandhi Market. In 2020, 2021, we started working with a couple of the city planners and the BMC. Uddhavji being from Mumbai, first chief minister from Mumbai, and me also being in the cabinet, we said, look, this is something we have to work on. So the first thing we did is initiated a contour study of Mumbai, a heat map of Mumbai, and a changing heat map in terms of how the construction was moving. For example, JVLR with the deforestation that's happened there, with the road that's coming up there, with the metro that's coming up there. Likewise, within a year, with the rainwater holding tanks that we've created at St. Xavier's Ground and Gandhi Market, we've been able to make Gandhi Market and Hind Mata flood-free. And we had started off work on Milan Subway. I don't know if it is completed and the BMC has not given me an update as yet. But had that happened also, even Milan Subway would be flood-free. Likewise, you need to do it for Andheri station. You need to do a couple of more places. The Brimstone project, which is about to, which is almost completed. Now only 2 pumping stations are remaining. What is important for us is again to realize that we were an island city, reclaimed left, right, center without thinking much. Now where I live, Kalanagar, just beyond that is BKC, which was once a complete mangrove. And again, MMRD came in without asking anyone. They filled it up and it's become a higher place than where we live. And we are one of the first places to flood up. Now for Mumbai, we've created a climate action plan where we have short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. Along with it, Nashik Climate Action Plan was launched, Solapur was launched, and a couple of more are in the making. We made this with C40, Rocky Mountain Institute, WRI, a couple of more agencies. And our brief to them was, tell us where we are going wrong and tell us where we are going right. Because very often what governments love to hear is where we are going right. We don't like to hear where we are going wrong and what we can correct. So we said, look, when you're telling us where we are going wrong, please tell us how we can correct it. The carbon inventory of Mumbai, the carbon inventory of most of our cities, because when we commit 40 of our cities to race to zero, we have to know what we can improve in the short term, medium term, and long term. Decarbonizing our energy sector, decarbonizing our transport sector, just transition for a lot of people who work in these sectors. I think this is also very crucial. So for Mumbai or any other thing, the climate action plans were ready, were implemented, and now have been put on a hold, which is unfortunate, but hopefully we want to get it going.